Today I'm going to talk about the research, a needs analysis approach to ESP syllabus design in Greek tertiary education, a descriptive account of students' needs. It was written by Dora Costello and it was published in the Proceedings Social and Behavioral Sciences, and this journal is no longer active on Science Direct. The paper describes the initial phase of a needs analysis project, which was developed in the context of Greek tertiary education with the aim to identify the needs of a target group of learners and introduce needs-based course design. It is considered that since the present curricular framework has not yielded the desired results and has proved inadequate in addressing the learner's needs, both professional and academic, the revision of the existing ASP curriculum seems extremely timely. The findings of this study reveal the need for the development of a higher specific ASP language course, with a clear focus on the target discipline accountancy. And I think the result of the findings of this study could apply in other ESP courses like Maritime English and some other courses. There was also a course for the provision of ESP training, which addresses the learners' immediate needs as students and their long-term needs as professionals. So this research is very important in the aspect of course design and teacher training, and we could provide theoretical and practical support in ESP course. That what kind of factor we need to consider in the process of ESP course design. And this is the aim and objectives of this study. The first is to identify the student's prospective professional needs, and next to identify the student's needs in terms of language skills and tasks, and to record students' deficiencies concerning language skills, to elicit students' preference with respect to learning styles, methodology, and teacher roles. And the last one is to record the students' suggestions for better ESP training, to figure out the students' needs, and also help us to fulfill the ESP course design. There were 395 students, and they were majoring in accountancy. 38% of them were male and 62% of them were female. The age range varied, but the majority of them were 20 or 22 years old. Also introduced their level of English language proficiency, which range from beginner to upper intermediate and advanced. Personal differences may influence the result of this study, so this is important to present this information here. It's a research methods and tools. A multi-method approach which involved both quantitative and qualitative research methods was adopted in this research. Triangulation of source and methods was also attempted to secure the validity and reliability of the research, but data were collected through the students' questionnaire and semi-structured interviews. So I don't think triangulation is used in this research because we only have two sources of data from questionnaire and interview. I think triangulation means 3 methods or 3 sources of data, or 3 researchers analyzing the same data. But here, we only have data from questionnaire and interview, so I'm not sure triangulation used in this research. Maybe the author saying that closed questions and open questions are 2 sources of data, but I'm not sure if this means triangulation. So what's your opinion about this question? Next is data analysis. We have 2 kinds of data. The data from the questionnaire was analyzed by using descriptive statistical methods like frequencies and the percentage for all atoms of the questionnaires. And the verbal data of the semi-structured interviews were analyzed qualitatively by the procedures of data reduction, first and second level coding, and pattern coding. But the author didn't mention the software he used of analyzing the quantitative data. So I guess this paper was published in 2010, so I guess the author may not use the software to analyze it, like NVIDIA or other software at that time. Questionnaire were divided into several parts. The first one is the learner's needs and purposes for using the English language. The second one is the focus of the needs-based course. And this part was divided into reading skills, writing skills, listening skills, and oral production communication, which means speaking. And the third part, the learner's preferred learning methods. The first part, the learner's needs and purposes for using the English language. The atoms and the percentage of these atoms are presented in this page. Transactions in the workplace received about 39%, and continue their studies abroad, followed with 34%. These two atoms are very important because they received a higher percentage. And next is seminars for educational purposes with 11%, and communication with English-speaking colleagues with 9.6%. Moreover, regarding the frequency of using English in the workplace, the vast majority of the participants declare their need to use English, it's very often with 38% or sometimes 34%. And in particular, the purposes for which the students need and expect to use the target language were ranked as follows: oral communication, reading and comprehending tests, listening and comprehension, producing written tests. Start the next part, the focus of the needs-based course. There are 5 items related to reading skills. Reading subject-specific magazine or newspaper articles with 50.6%, reading textbooks or manuals with 42.8%, and at a macro skill level, reading a test for GIST with 60.8%, which is a highest percentage of these 5 reading skills, and reading to check information with 55.7%. The last one, identification of basic messages with 53.2%. Writing skills, like writing notes, memos, emails, analyzing graphs, report writing, formal and informal letter writing, developing arguments, linking sentences and paragraphs, producing well-developed paragraphs, developing introduction and conclusion, organizing information, practicing the use of appropriate vocabulary and grammar. Question here, because the author didn't mention the design of the questionnaire, so I'm not sure how they design this questionnaire and how they ensure the validity of this questionnaire, because he didn't conducted the pilot study. So this is a question. Listening skills, comprehending presentations and seminars, comprehending recorded materials, listen and follow instructions, understanding main points, identifying specific information, keeping notes, evaluation of speaker position, comprehending speakers with different accents. Think that for now, comprehending presentations is very important for all of us. Production communication, which is speaking, job-related communicative tasks with 64.1%, giving a presentation 61%, oral fluency 58%, grammar and vocabulary 56.5%, reading, writing, and listening. There are many items in the previous skills, but in speaking there are only 4 items in this part. Maybe that the author focuses more on the teaching of reading, writing, and listening, but he focuses less on the speaking in the process of teaching an ESP course. It is a learner's preferred learning methods, which include dealing with unknown vocabulary and vocabulary acquisition, most efficient sources for ESP materials. In the first part, translation by teacher, explain vocabulary in context, make sensible guesses and explain unknown vocabulary. This teacher behaviors only occurs in the process of introducing the vocabulary, firstly introducing the vocabulary to the students. And in the aspect of vocabulary acquisition, connect new vocabulary with already known, memorizing vocabulary items, organizing vocabulary in semantic categories using a dictionary, translation by the teacher. These items are related to the acquisition of vocabulary, which means this is different from the introduction of the vocabulary, because the learners need to remember it and know how to use it in the real context. And the last one is sources for ESP materials, the internet, subject-specific textbooks, accountancy-related magazines and materials from accountancy firms. Because this paper was published in 2010, so I think if the questionnaire was administered in now in present days, the percentage of internet may be higher because we get much information from the internet, and this helps us a lot. Finally, with respect to the use of mother tongue, a considerable percentage, 37.5% of the participants, wish the Greek language to be often used in the ESP classroom, while 30.9% sometimes and another 19.2% always. This is an open question in the questionnaire. What are your proposals about improving ESP instruction? And I think we should think about this question not only from a learner's perspective, but also from a teacher's perspective. And we could compare these two opinions from teacher and from learner to find out the differences between us. Derived from the open-ended question were precised into the categories and subcategories, which are presented in the next slide into two parts: ESP course and organizational issues. In ESP course, there are 5 items: ESP materials for accountancy students, and needs-based ESP syllabus focus on subject-specific issues, guidance in approaching tests and tasks, consideration of the learner's deficiencies. Organization issues included ESP courses in all semesters, ESP trained tutors, streaming students by competence, preparatory courses for low-level students, fewer students in the ESP classroom. This table, ESP course was mentioned about 700 times, and organizational issues were mentioned for about 440 times. Insight into the learner's views concerning ESP training provision were provided through the interviews, which complemented the findings of the questionnaire. The data, after being coded, resulted in 57 codes, which were grouped into 10 categories, classified into 3 basic themes. The first one is ESP course, reasons for attendance and expectations. And the second one is the present situation, an appreciation of the ESP contest. And the third one is suggestions for better training. Conclusion. First one, the findings of the study revealed the need for setting up a language course with a clear focus on English for a specific purpose and on the target discipline. For example, the newly developed course had to consider their previous learning experience and their level of language proficiency, as well as the difficulties they face in terms of skills like reading skills, listening skills, and writing skills, and speaking skills, and to attempt to bridge the gap between the learner's competence at the beginning of the course and the competence in the future for academic or professional purpose. In my opinion, if we teach an ESP course, when we were designing the course, we need to balance the English language, the language skills, and the professional knowledge. We need to balance these two factor of this course. Practice suggests that participants have different expectations with respect to their need to use the target language for study or professional purposes, which highlights the merit of needs analysis concerning the identification of the learner's needs. Learners have different competence, have different attitudes or needs towards this course. So when designing the course, the teacher must consider the demands of each learners and consider their competence, the difference of their competence, and design different courses. Moreover, it was indicated that the participants need a flexible approach to ESP syllabus design, which provides practice in both receptive and productive skills. Consequently, the needs-based syllabus document is expected to reflect their needs in terms of skills at the micro and macro level by selecting and grading authentic materials. Although the complexity of adopting a needs-based approach to ESP cannot be ignored, needs analysis as a decision-making process which informs course design specifications is regarded as an indispensable component of any ESP course. And this is my presentation of this paper. For listening, if you have any questions about this research we can discuss together, please feel free to contact me by email.